affairs in this hall. Lead our president so that the affairs here will be directed according to your will. Guide us aright, O Father, and help us to have a collective decision. Thank you for hearing us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Let's remain standing for the Gosa anthem, please. After two, may the mind of Christ, my Savior. 1, 2, go. May the mind of Christ, my Thank you. Amen. You may be seated, please. A Gosa president, former president, Gosa general secretary, members of the national executive of Gosa, you're all welcome. As you can see right now, we have only the exco on the high table, but we have some special guests and our elders seated right in front here. Firstly, I would like to especially recognize Serki Musasa in the person of Engineer Isyaku Yusufu. Please, let's give him a round of applause. In no particular order, I would also like to recognize the presence of General John Temlong. Sir, you're welcome. I also like to recognize Ngo Esther Gwanda, who is here in our midst as well. And we also have seated next to her, General Goar, former Operation Rainbow head. And again, we also have an elder in our midst in the person of the former NPC chairman, in the person of Chief S. Makama. You're welcome, sir. And there's a former president, two of them seated next to each other. Please, can you acknowledge by a wave of hand, former vice president, sorry. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I would like at this time to call on the president of Gosa in the person of Engineer Sunday C. Hiat for his welcome remarks.
So thank you very much. On behalf of Gosa ESCO, I welcome us to this year's town hall meeting, and I appreciate all the sacrifices, dedication, and commitment demonstrated by all of us. As witnessed yesterday in the morning during the convention, it was one of the conventions that was well attended, well participated, and equally we had a dinner that was well attended, and I appreciate everyone. I wish to especially appreciate the chairman of our convention and of course our dinner, who is here. That is the Sarkin Usasa, who is here with us. He is Gosa 66. He has been with us since yesterday. In fact, he came in on Friday. And of course, we are encouraged by your commitment and resilience. When you said yesterday that you drove yourself. When you told me you are coming, I thought you had a driver and the usual entourage that comes with royalty. But he decided to drive himself because he wants to come here, as I remember his days in boys' school. And I'm sure you must have gone around to look at the school environment. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Her Highness who is here with us. Thank you very much. We have very senior, of course, past presidents that are here. We are with Babayara, I'm sure he's somewhere, or is yet to arrive. I don't know, but we are with him. Of course, the immediate past president is here, Professor Roga Gofuen. Yes, I appreciate your commitment. We held a long meeting. We held a long meeting on Friday, the next meeting, very, very long meeting. He was there throughout, and he was there with us throughout yesterday, and he's here. And he's ever remained there to encourage and to advise where necessary. He's a member of the ESCO because he's an ex-official. So I appreciate you. I appreciate our elder, Chief SD Makama. You are with us yesterday at the convention. You are here. Thank you very, very much. Of course, with Yunana Uga and with the delegation from Nasarawa State. Benue, sorry. The delegation from Benue State. Thank you. VP, VP2, she's here. The chairperson is here. Thank you very much for coming. Of course, our mother and our auntie, engineer Ms. Esther Gonda was recognized. We recognize you again. Of course, we have our brother, of course, our elder, General John Timlong. He's been with us throughout yesterday at the convention, at the dinner, and he's here with us. Thank you, sir, General John Timlong. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody, of course, members of the committee. Professor Motuhir is here. Dr. Hisse, we were with us yesterday. I thank everybody. I will not be able to mention everybody's name, but my appreciation goes to all of us. And we are welcome to today's town hall meeting. Yes, I appreciate this immensely His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, and of course his officials, especially the SGS, the Head of Service, Commissioner for Works, Commissioner for Higher Education, who is a former Gosa president, of course, Commissioner of Justice had his engaged, so he's not been able to come, but he's with us in spirit. We have the Commissioner for Finance, who was with us. She was at our dinner, and she was at the reunion service. I guess they must have gone back with His Excellency, but my appreciation to them. His Excellency has supported us immensely. If not for the support that they have rendered, this convention would have had it quite difficult. So he assisted us. We were able to complete, we were able to carry out the convention and equally complete the work at the girls' school assembly hall. For a few of us that were able to be in churches at the Vincent Hall, you will see what work has gone and work is finished. We're almost where we are here. So we appreciate, and with other members that have contributed, we thank you immensely. Before His Excellency left, as he said during the service, he says he wants to reenact or maybe bring back the culture of agriculture here in the schools. We know when Mr. Dimka was here. Mr. Dimka is an agriculturalist, and he makes sure that agriculture is, and we all know, is the bedrock of human survival, is agriculture. So he is talking with the principals to see that they bring back that culture. It may not be in the crude way it was done, but possibly in a more scientific way. May begin to bring in some kind of greenhousing, whereby students at this level can be introduced to that. Because, yes, that is the vogue now. People do greenhousing. So if students at this level introduce that, they begin to stimulate their interest in agriculture. Because this country, we are still importing food, and we are not supposed to. People come to this country and they see the resources and endowments that we have, and they'll be surprised that we're importing food. Even countries that are barely deserts. Some of us traveled and you see countries that are barely deserts, but because of irrigation, they have food sustainability. And then we here that will have natural lands and water and everything, rain, and yet we are struggling to feed ourselves and even importing food. It should not be. So I think the principals are they here? But I'm surprised. Why are the principals? Actually, I'm surprised. Why are the principals? So, is he the one to bring the bell? He's supposed to send somebody now. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And equally, what I would say is to appreciate the cooking president. The cooking president mentioned something that a few of us, only a few of us, were able to pick what he said. Because as Gosa, we have been uh, lamenting and agitating that we should be represented in the boards of the schools, so that year in year out, Gosa will have a representative in the boards of the schools. We are happy that the cooking president today said that they would now appoint and give Gosa and give Kosa opportunity to give somebody that will be on the board. So let's appreciate with a clap. It's a step going forward in the reforms that we're agitating for. That this is a school that, yes, Gosa has done so much for, and yet we are not on the board. So a lot of decisions are taken without even us. So thank God he has agreed that Gosa will be on the board, and possibly Yokosa on the board. So we appreciate the cooking president for what the step he has taken. Uh, it needs to be here. Let me, of course, we've been introduced here, but we need to recognize some of us that are here. We may not be able to do it class by class or set by set, but I know, like we are recognized in the church, it is good for us to see recognize ourselves here. So permit me to again kindly request set 55 to 60 that are able to meet with to here to be on their feet if there are any. I know there were two while we were in church. Dr. Obedu was there, 57, and then of course Rear Admiral Sam Tukum. Possibly they are not able to make it here. So, but 61 to 70, we have 61 to 70. I'm sure our elders here. Please, can you be recognized? Sorry, you are eating. I'm disrupting you. Sorry. 61 to 70. So you see, we appreciate you. And we thank you very much for being here. 71 to 80. 71 to 80. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can be seated. And then we have 81 to 90. Including myself. I'm standing, so I'm part of it. So thank you very much. 91 to 2000. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Then 2001 to 2010. Thank you. 2011 to 2023, because we have graduates in 2011 to 2023. No, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sure later we'll identify ourselves by houses. But I wish to appreciate all of us and all that, yes, members that are not here with us. A lot of Gosa secretary, they've gone to the school for the blind to support them with what they brought. But I'm sure and trust that they will come and meet us as we continue. The principals are here. The high point of our meeting today is to receive a report of the committee that was constituted by Gosa. As I said, concerned about the low performance of students, and equally even the moral decadence that is bedeviling this place. You hear of some things that are being done here that you cannot just even understand that here in this compound or in these hostels that can take place. So, and that has contributed in some of the outputs that we get in terms of performance. So the committee has done quite a diligent work. Committee headed by Mrs. Ruth Bianteng. She sent her apologies, she's not able to be here. But Dabulus Nyango is here. Dajim, I don't know how to say that. Is it that? Dajim Pochi. Dajim Pochi is here. And then there's a lady, I keep forgetting his name. No, Pandamamba is the secretary. There's one other lady, Esther. Esther, and then, of course, the secretary of the committee is Dr. Solomon Mamva. They've done a wonderful assignment, a wonderful job. Myself and the chairman of the mini planning committee, the mini convention planning committee, we had met the education secretary and briefed him. So they are awaiting our report. But when I want them to actually present the report here, when they do, the principals will now respond to that report. The two principals, because there will be issues that will be raised that they will need to respond to. When they do, then all of us will now be able to make comments and enrich the report so that the recommendations that they have will be recommendations that Gosa has contributed and arrived at. We will now take those recommendations and meet the Cocking president. I had told him, I've met the Cocking president twice. I told him the need for us to do something quickly, and understand that is one of the reasons why he said he has agreed that Gosa will be in the board. But then it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. So I think on this note, I will give the committee the opportunity to make a presentation. After the presentation, the principals will now respond. After their responses, the floor will now be open for comments and other AOBs. Thank you. May God be with us. In Jesus' name.
Let's give the Gosa president a round of applause for that welcome remark. Okay, without any much waste of time, as he has said, I would like to call on Dr. Solomon Mambat to go ahead with the presentation. Meanwhile, can we have those of you sitting behind come to the front? We are too far apart so that we can hear each other. And I realize that it's the junior students that are sitting behind. Can you please come forward, move forward a bit, please? Thank you. Dr. Mambat, sir.
I hope we're not using this background. Okay. Okay. Sorry. You can sit here. Good afternoon.
I'm presenting the report on behalf of the committee. As is a tradition, the elders have sent the young boy to do the presentation on their behalf. So we are going to give just the highlights. This committee was constituted with the following terms of reference. We are to liaise with the principals of boys' secondary school and girls' high school and get the present status of the fees paid by the students, conditions of labs and libraries, salary structures of teaching and non-teaching staff, any reward system to teachers for subject performance by students. Terms of reference. The second one, get the fees paid by students of similar faith-based schools in Plateau State, including other charges, and get the salary structure of both academic and non-academic staff of these faith-based schools. Carry out a peer review of the schools in Gindri with these faith-based schools. Recommend measures you strongly feel should be adopted to improve the performance of the Gindri schools. Any other recommendations you deem necessary. The high points of our findings. BSS was charging, BSS JHS, they were charging 60,000 naira from 2016 to July 2023. In the 2023 session, it was reviewed to 120,000. 100 as fee, 10 as PTA levy, and 10,000 as school and other levies. We found that the fees being charged in BSS and GHS were the lowest, with schools of similar ranking. If you look at the table, you realize that these are some schools in Plateau State. And most of the schools, you cannot place them in the same rank with BSS and GHS. And yet, their fees are almost equal or more. Then we did a comparison of salaries of teaching and non-teaching staff in BSS and GHS. Now there's something known as the cooking salary. Though some of the teachers are grant-aided, but still is the cooking salary that is used. If you see a staff on cooking salary for step 5, the person earns about over 48,000. 7.3 is 54,000. But a teaching staff on 8.4 earns 40,000. And then a teaching staff on 9.7 earns 49. When you have the two, teaching and non-teaching on 8.2, teaching is 34,000, non-teaching is 58,000. If you look at the disparity, it's quite wide. So, a teaching staff on the same salary scale with a non-teaching staff has a difference of 23,721 naira. Now, in the course of our investigation, we found that the teaching staff are being mocked by the non-teaching staff. And this has resulted to lack of dedication. Better allowances to non-teaching staff, which has become a source of mockery from the non-teaching staff to the teaching. This is the main contributory factor for the lack of dedication to duty. This is also responsible for the poor performance of the students, because if the teacher is not committed, there's no way he will put in his best. Then there's another thing, pitching tents. Because the teachers are not well paid, they tend to take some other jobs aside from what they do here. So that too is affecting commitment. Lack of payment of government grants as at when due. There's a backlog of about 10 years. Yes. So this is also another factor. Then, if you recall, when Gosa celebrated her 50th anniversary, a modular lab was donated. But we have learned that the modular lab is not being used. Well, maybe the principals will explain that. But we got to know that the labs have not been officially handed over to the schools, even when Gosa had handed over to the proprietor. There are more facilities that are needed in the schools. In the report, those facilities are there. We went around some of the labs. We found that some of the labs, some sets started renovation of some of the labs, but they have not completed those renovations. Then we found that there's need for a more robust guidance and counseling program because of the incidents of indiscipline. Then on poor performance, we found that 4 key groups are involved. The first, the parents. We found that parents encourage exam malpractice. Yes. Some parents encourage exam malpractice by either getting live questions for their wards, or they encourage their wards to engage in it. Secondly, some of the parents, and I'll say it here, some of the parents will tell their children that I didn't do mathematics, so don't bother about maths. And we know no university now will admit you without mathematics. Then attitude towards maths. Then some of the parents are overprotective. When their wards are disciplined, some come to the school to challenge the teachers. Then, on the part of teachers, lack of commitment. I've mentioned that. Pitching tents, transfer of aggression. Some of the teachers, because of the poor remuneration, transfer aggression to the children. And some of the children are not willing to even ask questions in class because of fear. Some of the teachers are not familiar with WAEC and NECO marking. Even though they attend WAEC coordination, they don't have the experience. Then some of the teachers are not approachable. In class, they are not friendly. So the students find it difficult to engage them in discussions or to share their problems with them. On the part of students, laziness. A lot of them have phobia for mathematics, and then dodging classes. What about the proprietor? On the part of the proprietor, there's lack of thorough supervision. It is expected that once in a while the proprietor will come to the school. It will motivate the teachers, it will motivate the students. For instance, I think just the presence of the executive governor of Plateau State at the frontage of this school will make a large impact in the minds of the students today. Poor welfare and delay in promotions. Promotions for 2023 have not come, so there will be arrears. And we have learned too that when there are arrears, even if it is 1 year, they are only given 3 months. That's the maximum they will give them. Then disparity in the salaries of staff. And we have realized this one is coming from the proprietor. And I've enumerated that one before. Then another thing, we try to look at the results of BSS from 2013 to 2019 and GHS from 2017 to 2022. And we found that so much over the years, poor performances in mathematics. And then even for English, I think it's because the schools have a tradition that English is our mainstay. We must do well in English. I think that's what is sustaining the schools. So, this is a table. If you observe, these long ones are NECO exams. WAEC, you will see the performance, especially this is mathematics. If you look at math, these are credit level. Very low, very low. We thought there was improvement in 2015, but it was not so. It's like it stabilized in 2016. It was very good in 2017, but started declining. Was 2018, and then 2019. So, it's a challenge. This BSS. What's happening? Okay. This for GHS. It appears the girls hate mathematics. So, you can look at WAEC. It's quite low. So, this shows a graph that shows that there's a decline, even if there's improvement in NECO. But one thing we have to understand is that WAEC is international standard. And I know some schools that don't bother about WAEC at all, about NECO. They emphasize more of WAEC because they are looking at the international picture. So, we also found, I've mentioned the first one. The second one, the position of the Director of Education is being occupied by a non-professional educationist. And this is affecting most of the schools. Because if you have a director that is a professional, he knows most of the challenges the schools are going through. And therefore, he will be in a better position to present to the proprietor. Also, when it comes to extracurricular activities, there are a lot of sporting activities that appear to be phasing out in Gindri. Like badminton, hockey, field and track events are not so encouraging because there are no equipment. Then there are reported cases of occultism, homosexuality, lesbianism, etc. in the schools. Well, in the past, we used to know smoking, drinking, but it's taking another dimension now. And then we found that all the schools on the compound, BSS, GHS, School for the Blind, School for the Physically Challenged in Sabonlai, Gindri Material Center have a single board of governors. And also there's poor file keeping and use. We went through the files of the staff and we realized that a lot of communications don't go through the files. Therefore, you cannot monitor things that are going on. We also found that Gosa has done well in assisting the schools. Sincerely, it is the beam that is sustaining the schools. PTA too has done so much. However, we must do more. And I think part of this report is one bold step that Gosa Expo is taking. Now, based on this and others, we have made some recommendations. The first is that for the teachers, why is there poor performance? The teachers should explore task-based teaching and learning to keep the students fully engaged with beneficial outcomes and curb laziness. Task-based means the children will be engaged always. Even if there's a lazy student, he will not stay idle. He must be engaged in doing something. Then parents, Gosa, and the proprietor should hold regular stakeholders meetings or interactions to keep staff and parents on the same page in respect of the education of the children. We've realized that it is Gosa that is always engaged with the schools and PTA. The proprietor is not fully engaged. So the stakeholders must come together and find a way of solving the problems. Okay. Then we said resource persons in the best methods of teaching in the various subjects should be engaged to train all the teachers. If you are a teacher, you should not feel inferior to learn from a colleague. So we are suggesting that they should look for people that will come and put them through the various methods. They will teach the various subjects. Gosa and the proprietor should think seriously of a well-packaged program that will help give teachers the latest and best methods to ensure effective teaching. There should be a deliberate effort by the schools to ensure that teachers are computer literate and deliver lessons digitally in most subjects or topics. The world has changed. If BSS was the first, if we are the first in West Africa to present candidates for agriculture, I think we should equally be the first to begin teaching digitally. And it can be done. Another suggestion. We found that the morale of teachers is very low. And it is the system of appointing principals. You can become vice principal and revert to a classroom teacher. And we know in the teaching profession is a hierarchy. If you get to vice principal, you should be hitting principal. Even if you not be principal, you should retire at that level. So, we are recommending that principals and vice principals should be allowed to fizzle out either by age or years of service as obtainable in the civil service against the tenure system. The board of governors and principals of the schools should ensure that the guidance and counseling units are made functional. In one of them, we found that the guidance counselor is almost like a teacher. Professionally, the guidance counselor is not to teach. But the person can go into the class and interact with children. And we feel if they concentrate on what they're supposed to do professionally, they will help curb indiscipline and these students that have phobia for some subjects. All teachers teaching the senior students should attend WAEC and NECO coordination where they are not markers. We also recommend that teachers should be treated as respected and revered professionals with special remunerations or remunerative packages that confer the expected honor and dignity on them.
Sir, excuse me. Please, can we have some quiet in the hall? There's too much noise. Let's listen attentively to what is presenting. Please go ahead, sir.
We also recommend that there should be enforcement of strict discipline in the schools, and staff who shirk from their duties must be sanctioned. Any principal who has no firm control or vision to enforce discipline among staff and students and enthrone academic excellence should be equally sanctioned. Staff should be promoted as at when due to stop the loss of arrears. Where promotions are delayed by the proprietor, the staff need to be paid their arrears in full. The pending promotion of staff and the backlog of the arrears should be paid to the staff in full because the committee found out that promotions are sometimes delayed and arrears are paid for only 3 months, no matter the length of the delay. The laborer is worthy of his wages. The position of the Director of Education should be occupied by a professional educationist who has risen to the rank of at least a director in the school system, or a retired chief lecturer from a college of education, or a retired professor of education. The schools should purchase or acquire more land for farming to augment their income and food needs. There should be orientation for new principals and new staff on the vision and mission of the schools, as well as general policies of government. This is important because some of the principals may come. They may be younger than the generations that have gone through. So it's good for them to have an orientation of what BSS and GHS used to be, so that they will be able to function well. We found too that there are a lot of conferences that go on here, but nothing is given to the schools. So we are suggesting that conference participants using the schools or the hostels should now pay something or a token to maintain the beds, because the beds are meant for children, and when adults sleep on them, they weaken them. For instance, I think one of the schools spent almost 600,000 to fix the beds. That would have been used for something else. Sporting equipment should be provided to the schools. We are suggesting this to celebrating sets, PTS, and significant others. There should be proper keeping and filing of staff documents in the schools. Staff and management should be properly given orientation and training on how to use staff files for proper communication. The two schools should have separate board of governors. That means BSS, GHS should have separate board of governors. Unlike where they will be lumped with School for the Blind, Sabonlai, CCG, and Material Center. They have different problems. They operate differently. Secondary schools are not the same with primary schools. So they should not have the same boards. So BSS and GHS can have the same board. And we strongly recommend that Gosa should be represented on the board. That's one from GHS, one from BSS. And we have a reason for making this suggestion. We believe if Gosas, the number of Gosas is high, there's a tendency that they will have interest in the schools. The schools should hold counseling days timely to address relevant issues that affect some students and staff. We are suggesting a Gosa Trust Fund. And why are we suggesting a Gosa Trust Fund? We feel Gosa has the clout to attract so much funds for the two schools. It may not just be the sets. We can go out and get money. Because from today or this year, I believe, secondary school administration, the narrative will change. It will no longer be this. There will be a lot of needs for funds. And if we don't have funds to sustain the vision of the founding fathers, it will be difficult for us. Little schools are challenging Gindri schools, and it's not good for us. So, next. Our suggestion is, if we must have that trust, the trust fund, Gosa should begin to enter an MOU with the proprietor. Because from our own little way, the way we have seen it, the proprietor seems not to appreciate what the old students are doing. And if they are not appreciating, if we must intervene, our intervention will not make an impact if we don't agree with the proprietor on certain basic things. For instance, the modular lab has been given. I learned when NUC came, they took them there. They did not believe that such a lab was within this environment. A lab that a university is begging for, we have it in secondary school. You need someone who will appreciate that and support. So we need to be signing MOUs with the proprietor. If we are intervening, let our intervention make the necessary impact. So our prayer is that we should return BSS and GHS to their past glory and even support such in this age of advancement. Many old students can't be setting the pace and our schools are declining. It's an irony. It's an irony. The base of their attainments rests on the sound foundation laid for in Gindri. Today, our hearts as a committee bleeds. Our hearts bleed for the declining academic state of the schools. Yet we owe the present and future generations a duty to begin the recovery and restoration of the schools to the centers of excellence in lifelong education. The 5-man committee members, our chairman is not around. She sent in her apology. Da Jimmy Pochi is here, sir. Can you stand for recognition? Dara Nyango, I saw him. What about Esther Pam? Maybe she's engaged. We want to thank the engineer Sunday Head-led Gosa National Executive for the laudable initiative they've taken to constitute this committee. We also appreciate the principals of the schools, the PTAs, the staff and students for their cooperation while undertaking this assignment. We want to congratulate the celebrating sets, especially 1983. Its 40th anniversary is this year, and our dear president is a member of that set. We are doing this because the president is a member of the set. Till we meet again in November 2024, by his grace, we want to say thank you.
I think he deserves a standing ovation for that beautiful presentation. Thank you very much. You may all have your seats as I hand over the mic to the president to carry on from here. Before Mr. President carries on, please permit me to acknowledge the presence of some of our elders that just stepped in. First of all, I'd like to welcome the first Gosa president in the person of Babayara, Dr. Obed Ibebi. Well, welcome, sir. I'd also like to recognize the presence of the royal father who is here with us in the person of His Royal Highness Shedumiri Jamda. Is the Ponji Gabon of Gazum Chiefdom in Lantang North local government area. And we also have a Gosa member who came all the way from Sierra Leone. I think she's here with us. Let's welcome Wilhelmina Sendo from Sierra Leone. A round of applause, please. Mr. President, sir, you can carry on.
Thank you very much. You will all agree with me that the committee has done a very thorough assignment. They have carried out the assignment in terms of in accordance with the terms of reference and even added more. So on behalf of indeed Gosa, we appreciate the committee for commitment in the assignment given to them. As we all agree that whatever we do as Gosa in terms of improving infrastructure in these schools, if nothing is done in terms of policy to redirect the school in terms so that they know that it's a center of excellence, and let the students know that have a responsibility to defend the performance, so nothing would be wasting our time. Tomorrow we will not be able to have this Gosa that we have here. We are privileged to have a governor, the secretary to government, the head of service, commissioners, permanent secretaries, directors in the university, in youth, in professors, in so many places. You could see the list was so long for 1 year. We cannot afford to turn our back in the schools, to the schools, and then allow the schools to crumble down. So that's why this committee, and they've done a wonderful job. So the principals are here, the two principals. You listen to the report, and you would have to make comments. You have to make comments. I said I went to see the director of education, and I saw a proposal for salary review. And I was asking the principals, why didn't you make this proposal that you have made available to the committee so that they can look at it? They did not, but I'm sure they will say something about it. Because even that proposal that they made, I still see problems there. Because in one of the grade levels, I still saw that the non-teaching will still receive more than the teaching. In one of the starting grade level, whether grade level. So I want to, of course, there are people who work in the university here, who work in even in government secondary schools, tertiary institutions. They know the reward system is that the main activity is teaching. The non-teaching are supporting the ones that are teaching. So why should you now begin to pay the non-teaching more than the man who is teaching? Meanwhile, that's the major function of that establishment. So that's why the problem actually starts. So the principals are here. I know you must have taken notes. Say something so that in terms of findings and recommendations, if you have anything before members can add. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. President, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I think what, if we say the principal should talk now, is that they are going to be defending. They will try to be defending. What we are trying to bring is to bring out what we can do to move these schools. But when they start talking now, they will be defending, oh, we are doing this, or we're pushing the blame somewhere. We don't want a blame game now. There are problems on ground. There are problems on ground. Let members contribute to what we can be done so that we can listen, because part of the problems is them. Yes, part of the problems is the principals. Because look, let me give you an example. When they talk, this assembly hall was handed over to them when we finished BSS at 70. Before we started renovating this assembly hall, you remember that there were boards on all sides stating the number, listing all the students that have passed out through BSS here and the year they passed out. By the time we were leaving, I was chairman of that committee, and we told them that there are modern ways of writing these things now. You won't use those cardboards. 2 years down the line now, nothing there now. So this is how records get missing. This is not the problem of proprietor. This is not the problem of Gosa. It's the problem of the principals. Just to get that list that was there before, and they saw them and put those lists back there. When His Royal Highness came here now, his wife would have seen all the names of his classmates there now. She's going back now without seeing those lists. And it is the principal's problem. How can they tell us that a modular lab that was commissioned, and we even paid for internet to be used in that place? My own set, we paid for internet, and they left the whole thing. They will not wait for you to expire without using them and say, who will hand over to them? It's a capacity problem. They don't have the capacity to use that lab. And we said, look, they brought people from FinLab to teach them how to use the lab. And if they are not able to get those things well, they should have asked for an extension of time. And we recommended that teachers are different from lab technicians, that we should employ lab technicians who will be setting the labs and getting them ready for students. Because it's not the work of a teacher. A teacher will not know how to set those labs. They are running away from technology. Let's be frank. They are running away from technology. So there is nothing they will tell you here. We recommended again, you remember, you were a member of the committee, that Gosa should send these people on a yearly retreat where modern methods of teaching can be imparted of them during that retreat, and as part of welfare for the teachers, so that they will leave the environment of Gindri and go somewhere and get people who will teach them modern methods of this thing and even administration and the rest. So I think let's try and make a timetable now. Let your committee, ESCO committee, go and get a roadmap. Let's start building the capacity of these people. There's nothing they will do. If we don't build their capacity, anything we bring here, they will not use them. I'll be surprised if they're using this PowerPoint for lectures. I'll be surprised. So these are capacity problems. Let's not shy away from it. Let them build capacity to use modern equipment. Let them not be shy. Let them ask people who have used them and are using them. We can't be wasting money ad infinitum and not getting value for money. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, General Temlong, for your intervention. Now, he has made a proposal, because I had earlier said maybe the principals should say something. Now, the consensus is that there should be comments before they will respond. Okay, so thank you very much. So, Dr. Hisse.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak. I just want to reaffirm what the General has said. I thought if the committee had done their work properly, they would have had the opportunity of listening to the principals before writing this report. So we cannot listen to them at this time because they had had their opportunity before. What I think should be done now is for us to discuss the report, and if we find it worthy, then the officials of Gosa will now go to the proprietor and sit with the proprietor with the decision that we have arrived at this meeting. So the principals have no place in this matter now. If there is anything for them to say, they will need to go to the proprietor to do that. I agree entirely with what the General has said. Thank you.
So thank you very much. So we are now making comments and discussing the report. We have all agreed that we'll discuss the report. Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you very much, President and members and Gosa. I am very impressed with the
issue of remuneration. It is certainly very, very important. Please, can we be silent, please? For goodness sake.
Please, can we have some quiet in the hall?
We are here for serious business, please. When you look at the salary structure, actually I feel sorry for the staff, both the academic and non-academic staff. At this time, what they are earning, one can say they're just peanuts. And there's maybe the excuse may be that this is a mission school, and we are carrying on this mission mentality. We can't continue like that. You see, in the past, when the missionaries were here, they were not being paid salaries. They were paid allowances just to maintain them. So we continue with the staff like the way the missionaries like used to work. We have to pay them salaries. We have to pay them living wage, something that is commensurate or is at par with their colleagues in the public sector or in the private sector. I would like to suggest, if it is possible, that if you really want to get the best brains, as we pride ourselves as very good institutions, we need to attract the best brains. And to attract the best brains, we must pay them very well. They must be well accommodated. Their conditions of service must be very good. They must be at par with similar institutions or even better. I would like to suggest in this respect that we do a little bit of strategic planning. Please, excuse me, sir. Please, we should do some strategic planning. And in this strategic plan, this is I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. I like to give you an example. The president now is back. I was giving an example in 1988. NMPC, there was some strategic planning of NMPC, and the salary of the managing director of NMPC at that time, you will not believe it, was only 18,000 naira per annum. But there was strategic planning which now placed him in a competitive position with his colleagues, his counterpart in the private sector, like Shell, Mobil, and the rest of them. And so also other professional people in the organization. And in that strategic planning, what was done to determine salaries and remuneration was to do two things: job description and job evaluation. You describe a job and you evaluate the job. You evaluate, in other words, what does an individual, what does a teacher do? The teacher will describe what he does, and you evaluate what he's doing, and that will determine his salary. So please, silence, please. So we need to do job evaluation for staff here. If we want to be a center of excellence, we need to do job evaluation. But if we have the resources, because that's the problem, is the resources, because we have employ consultants. I don't know how much it will cost, but Gosa can employ a consulting firm to do job evaluation or strategic planning for BSS and GSS and BSS and GHS. And when this will be able to determine the remuneration of the principals, the academic staff, other academic staff, and non-academic staff. Now the issue is, how do you pay? Please, excuse me, please, Madam Principal. Oh, so shall we stop? I see you are upset. Eh? Okay, I'll round up now. Shall I stop? Now, I thought this is a very serious matter. But if it's not so serious, I think we should just talk about it and just leave and go. Yeah. So we should do, the issue is now, how do you source the funds? You have the funds from the proprietor, you have the grants from the government, And again, okay, we can have the grant or assistance, whatever you turn it from Gosa, which will help to pay the salaries of principals, the principal, the staff, and non-teaching staff. The other issue, I'm sorry, I would have liked to go on, but I think people are tired. So I would like the other things. I want to talk about the issue of the infrastructure. Mr. President, General Temlong said something, and it concerned the principals about the infrastructure and the facilities here. The last time, at one of the town hall meetings we had here, this place was in total decay, and I recall I spoke about it. The windows were broken, and you had either crystal hope or simple louvers that could be replaced. And I was wondering why there is a principal, and they have to wait for all boys to come and do this for them. I am happy things have changed now, thanks to is it TED Fund? Now, when we were coming today, when we were coming on the road from the church to this place, I noticed that from the outlook of the schools here, you could see that there are some changes. But unfortunately, at the hostels, the windows are broken. Just simple this crystal hope. Why can't they be replaced? Some of those windows were here 50 years ago. And when they're broken down up till today, they have not been replaced. For goodness sake, why should we waste our time coming here and be seeing this kind of thing every now and then? I think the principal should take these things seriously. You don't need all students' association to come and every time I keep on listening, they complain about all boys, all girls to do things for them. I think this is not acceptable. There are certain things that they can do, they can ask the students to do. Now, there's another thing you see, general observation in the compound here. Everywhere is so bushy. I feel so ashamed, driving around here. I felt so ashamed, today. Everywhere where there's a house, it's just bush. The only thing that looks nice there is just the house. I mean, when the Europeans were here, they employed laborers to cut grass. Now, if we don't have the money, the students are there, they can cut the grass, for goodness sake. What is wrong with us, we Nigerians? I mean, everything that is handed over to us, we spoil it, we leave it to decay, we leave it to rot. I just can't understand what is wrong with us, for goodness sake. What is so difficult in cutting grass around the compound here? Please, for goodness sake, Madam Principal, and are you the principal here or what? Or I don't know what your rank is here. And if you're one of them, please, I feel so upset, honestly. Please, I thank you very much.
Mr. President, sir, members of the Executive Council of Gosa, we're grateful for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to put our small contributions into the progress of Gosa. Sincerely, from the report that we got, it was a very prudent report, very objective, and very straight to the point. And from what I can see from the report, every good soup must have consumed a lot of money. Every good cloth, you must pay for it. Every good journey, you must be ready for it. And that is why I think the school fees that are being that is being paid now, I think is on the low side. Yes, we inherited this from the missionaries. I was a product of this place when 80% of the staffers were white. Well, they came for a purpose. They have done their job. They have done their contribution, and they have departed. Now the turn is ours. It will be a big shame, Mr. President, sir, to allow this legacy to be thrown into the mud. I think the best thing to do is baboon, they walk. Monkey, they walk. Baboon, they chop. This is a straight fact. Monkey, they walk. Baboon, they chop. The salary disparity between the teaching staff and is not equitable. There is no equity in it. And so, Mr. President, sir, I think on this matter of remuneration, it's a very serious case. It's a very serious issue. There should be a committee to look into this very, very subject so that it can be brought into proper perspective. I think if teachers are paid properly, they will give out their best. And if they don't, definitely there is punishment for it. If you are being paid and you don't work, definitely you deserve to be punished or even expelled. So there should be rules and regulations concerning employment. Rules and regulations concerning employment, but that should be followed by proper remuneration. And there should be a close-up between teachers and other staff. In fact, sir, in Britain or in any civilized country, you find out that the laborers earn more. I worked in a factory in UK, and I was earning more than the manager because I was using my strength. So please, I humbly submit that we should look at this thing objectively. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President and members, I think by now what we should be thinking of is the way out. Mr. President and members, the report that was given to me is nothing but just an exposition for us to understand the issues, the magnitude of the problems, and what everything is. If you contextualize it, you discover that there are problems we cannot do anything about in the immediate. There are structural problems, policy issues, and the third relating to the proprietor. We are just an interested party. Permit me to say, yes, we've voiced our anger, we've heard it. Mr. President, the way forward is to set up an implementation committee. That committee will now study, examine every single problem, and then look at it in relation to how we can solve it. You cannot go and dictate to the proprietor what to pay if he doesn't key into your vision. So until we work out all those strategies, this is the lapse here. Proprietor, this is what we want from you. What is a bargaining chip? Because what if the proprietor says, look, you can't force me to carry a weight that I cannot take? What are you going to do? So I think we should study these things carefully. Get a work in relation to how we intend to achieve our goals. I believe that, Mr. President, you can do that at the level of NEC. Continue with this work so that you report back. But I believe on behalf of the Congress, let's give a time frame that on or before the end of first quarter next year, there should have been a progress report and a concrete roadmap in relation to all the issues that we want to address. And I think before the second quarter, third quarter, we come back next year, we should have a better report as to what has been done. Thank you, Mr. President, so that we take on AOB.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You want to say something? Okay. Actually, when you have recommendations, of course, for him, he knows policy issues. You develop an implementation strategy. An implementation strategy would have timelines and responsibilities. You attach responsibilities and you attach timelines. Who is now to do what? And at which time do you think this should be done? That's what the implementation strategy would define. So what we are going to do, but there are very small basic issues that were raised there. The issue of the FinLab, which of course the principals can easily answer. I had spoken to the principal of boys' school. They have access, the modular lab. They have access to the modular lab. He has the keys. He has taken students there on and off. But the girls, they are not aware that that is even being done. So that means they would need to actually understand each other. If the boys are going and the girls are not going, then there's a problem. Yes. Yes. And that, of course, we've already spoken with the FinLab, so they are going to come here to have, so that they can be able to, because they complained there are some of the equipment that are new and strange to the students because they are new, so they don't know how to use them. So we said, okay, we'll get FinLab to come back here to run a small kind of training to the staff. But most importantly, as has already said, there is going to be a need for a lab technologist. Because the lab technologist will not be the one to man the lab. Because he's the one you can train. You can easily take through one or two people. Instead of saying, okay, for the chemistry teacher, for the physics teacher, for everybody, we're going to train teacher after teacher, teacher after teacher. No. We will get a laboratory technologist that would man that lab. So that you surrender students to him. You tell him that the kind of experiment you want, or whatever you want him to do, to carry out, he does that for them. One thing that we were informed again, which is a worrisome matter, in girls' high school, that the person teaching mathematics is just a fresh NCE graduate. And you know that's a problem. That on his own is a problem. He just graduated. Whatever it is, he lacks experience. First, he has NCE. Second, he just graduated. So that's a problem. That's a problem. You need somebody who is experienced, that has been teaching over time, to teach a graduating student. Of course, NCE can teach, but NCE can start from the lower classes, and while he's there, he can learn from the seniors that are there. So those are problems. It shows that in terms of recruitment process, they just recruit anybody that is available. And the reason is that because, like he said, remunerations is poor. So those are issues that we need to do. So it's not as if the solutions will find what to do. But somebody gave a suggestion that there are branches. Possibly if we can make available the recommendations to the branch chairpersons. And then if there's anybody that can enrich it quickly, then we would help to enrich and give it back to the school. Thank you. So,
Thank
AOB.
you.
Yes. Mr. Chairman. Hello. Mr. Chairman, mine is very brief. In line with the anticipated development in agriculture, years ago, I'm sure some of us will testify that there was an orchard here. all of a sudden the orchard has vanished. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I am saying that such things should resurface. Uh, Orchards for mangoes, for guavas, for the rest of them. And this will form part of our meals in the dining hall. So I'm looking forward to such things coming back. Such things should not and should never disappear. Thank you, sir.
Motion for adjournment. On the issue of this list, the principals are here. Set 64, right? Of course, you know, we have an issue here where some people came to do HSC. So they spent 2 years. Some people schooled here and left and did HSC somewhere. While some came, you know, and some continued with HSC here. So we found a way of reconciling in that list. Because it's actually confusing. Somebody comes here and does HSC 2 years. When does he? Now he graduates. So we found a way of redefining in the list that we're developing of people who graduated. So that we'll be able to differentiate the ones who came and do 2 years for HSC and left, and the ones who stayed here and completed full-time here. So that we don't confuse the whole list. So motion for adjournment.
Adjournment.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Adenchin Makandik Elijah, and I humbly move for the adjournment of this meeting. Thank you, sir.